Caddis Maximus here, this time with a review and overview of oil filter sockets and then oil sender sockets. I had trouble trying to fit these in other reviews I wanted to do, so I'm doing a dedicated review of these and the spinner handles, and then this weekend I'll drop my 50 Ratchet 3/8 drive review and comparison. I wanted to get through some of these more unique tools and unique drive sockets and oddball stuff before I did that big Ratchet review. Then I'll move into 3/4 inch and 1 inch reviews, and then on to plenty of other tools. If you've recently subscribed, you've probably seen how many videos I have put up, and we are still just in wrenches and sockets. I've done power tools too, but obviously there's a lot more tools to go, and what you've seen, my collection of just sockets, extends on to all forms of tools, some L wrenches, striking and struck tools, crimpers, pliers, pry bars, precision measuring tools, and after probably another 6 months or a year of just tool reviews, we could actually get into accessories, and obviously I want to get into testing and demonstration and strength tests and all that kind of stuff. But it takes time and it takes money, so I got to build up my channel the best way that I can, so I'm reviewing stuff that I already have in my collection in a non-destructive fashion, because the stuff is actually useful to me. So enough of that totally non-related talk. Let's actually talk about something related to this video, which is oil sender sockets and oil filter sockets. We have a few different oil sender sockets. So in an automobile, not just an automobile, these senders are used in all sorts of equipment, surprisingly enough. And they're a special kind of sensor that's really big around and has like a little plastic top and a little wire lead on it, and then like a small little pipe fitting, maybe 3/8 of an inch pipe fitting. And so they have kind of an odd shape, so they make special sockets for those. There's two common sizes, and you can see what they do in these sockets is they just step them. Because those sensors tend to stand off from wherever they're mounted to, they're not flush, it's effective to have a dual size socket. Some are not dual size like this one, but most are. We have a impact grade. Some of the nicer ones will have a hex on the back, so it's easier to access those. And you do want various depths of these sockets. Most times just the standard length will do it. This is a Bonnie, I think. We got a Bonnie and a Blackhawk here. This is a power belt, and so is this one. Sometimes they're trapped or caught in some real tight spaces, the ratchet head, so that's why there's one with a turn down shank. And then this one's just a little bit deeper with this power belt. Now, one thing you can notice is that these are 1 inch and 1 1/16 oil sending. There is another one, and I ended up buying this because I don't know if it was a GM, I can't remember what car, but it actually had a slightly different size, which is the 1 3/16, just slightly bigger than these. And it's also extra deep. So the unfortunate thing is it doesn't work very well on the more normal sized ones. But that was just a quick tip. If you've ever seen these sockets lying around, they are often found used. That's how I found these, because people just don't know what the heck they are. They think they're real specialty. But they're actually for oil senders. Sometimes oil switches and various other sensors will be designed, and it's nice to have the proper socket. One other thing to notice is that these have an interesting kind of custom shape to them, where power belt and the 1 3/16 just decide to go with the 6-point. On to oil filter sockets. A lot of people have seen these. They kind of are hit and miss unless they fit real tight on your oil filter. You absolutely have to get the perfect fitting one, otherwise they just slip. This is a Napa KD, and it's not too bad. This one has actually worked out pretty well because it fits really tight, and the way it's shaped just fits perfectly in all those flats, the contours on the oil filter. I don't have all the different sizes here because most of the vehicles I've had for some reason have had large diameter oil filters. This is another style. This is also an American-made one. I have no idea who made it. This one's kind of interesting. It tries to be, one, work on multiple sizes, and two, it uses this kind of corrugated pattern. So it fits on tight, and then when you turn, it kind of wants to bind up. It's kind of weird. This thing has been a real hit and miss. It's also tapered. But there's been a couple times where this one hasn't worked, and this one has. We have unique ones here. This is one style, which is actually surprisingly heavy duty. I like that it had the hex on it, so you could get it on there and then get a wrench. And how this one works is it just has a simple cam. It only really fits one size of filter, and when you go to counterclockwise, it just pulls this arm down through a little cam action in there and clamps on the oil filter and rotates it. And it works pretty well because you've got four gripping points, and it's actually pretty strong. We have this style, which has worked out pretty well for me. It's a band clamp style, but what I like about this one is when you're trying to unscrew it, it dives these teeth into the side of the filter. And if it wants to slip some, what's interesting is you can actually hold it and then crank on the wrench to get it to bite in really hard, and then usually you'll get the filter unscrewed. And so that's one of the things I liked about this one, is it's super thin, super compact as far as getting it onto a filter. And it doesn't have to be in a certain specific position, and that you can pre-tension it before you actually try to rotate the filter. So I actually approve of this style. This one's also a Napa KD, and this one is the one that I've used the most because the tighter, it's a self-binding style, and the harder you turn it, the tighter it gets, and it will slip sometimes, but you just put your finger in there and keep it from turning, and then you turn the wrench and it really grabs hard. And it's worked out great. It fits a wide range of sizes, all the way up to these large filters, right down to some pretty darn small ones. So I really appreciate it for that. It's not the best built because they just use basic rivets, but there's just a gear inside, and it's geared to the backs of these arms. And so when you're turning the filter like this, these want to pull in and crush it. And on really tight filters where it grabs, it's interesting. These will actually bite in. You'll have 3 finger indentations on the filter. But this one's always been great. It's just sometimes it slips and spins, and you kind of got to hold it to get it initially tight before you use it. But this is probably the one I'd recommend the most because it's pretty darn versatile. Fits a variety of sizes. And is very compact. Just the only situation is, all these have to fit on the end of the oil filter, and that doesn't always work in every situation. You can't get one of these on the end of the oil filter and be able to get a wrench on it and be able to rotate that wrench. That's why these band clamp style come in, because they can go on and they'll be on the center of the filter, and then oftentimes they'll give you enough space to actually get a wrench in there. And then these can be used with ratchets or breaker bars or anything like that. Anyway, that was just a quick video of these oil filter sockets and oil sending sockets. I really appreciate everybody watching, subscribing, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. Catus Maximus out.